Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and councils for the welfare of society and the just government of man, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trust in this country. Let your blessing descend upon us here in council assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the interest you have committed to our charge. All which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. The House will now hear the response from our Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, everyone. Madam Speaker, let me apologize to the members of the House and to the listening public for being a few minutes late. I actually forgot that I'm summing up this morning and that usually I'm accustomed to 2 days after the debate to come back to the House. I should have said 10 o'clock and not 9 yesterday afternoon if I had remembered. But I'm so accustomed of 2 days after the budget debate for the rebuttal that I want to debate this late this morning. I'm sure you understand, members and listeners. Madam Speaker, on Thursday, 18th June, I presented to this Honourable House the budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021. In that budget, Madam Speaker, I outlined the plans and programs of this administration for the year 2020-21. In that budget, we recognize the difficult times in which we are living as a consequence of health emergency caused by COVID-19. We also recognize the impact which it has on the socioeconomic condition of the peoples of the world and indeed the people of Montserrat. Madam Speaker, I further highlighted the early actions which were taken by my administration in seeking to assist individuals and residents and to alleviate the economic hardship which they were encountering due to emergency measures which the government took to reduce the spread of the virus among its population. I must, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, thank the United Kingdom government for their urgent response to requests for assistance so that persons who are affected by the lockdown could at least live some kind of life within COVID. Madam Speaker, I also recognize in the budget statement last Thursday that the pandemic had serious implications for world economies, and Montserrat is no exception. As a result of actions taken by this administration, Madam Speaker, lockdowns and curfews, the government projected that they will lose, or the projection loss to the budget is about 22 million EC dollars. Madam Speaker, may I remind us and the listening public that these are estimates. These are projections. And these figures can change up or down depending on what happened to us and what COVID decides to do between now and the months ahead. Madam Speaker, we recognize that the government sought to minimize the hardship of the population in terms of new taxes, and we will continue to encourage businesses to develop through tax incentives. I highlighted in my budget, Madam Speaker, the comparative analysis, the comparison between the international context. I used international context, and I used the regional context and Montserrat context to show that we are in no better position than the rest of the world. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, we project that the UK economy is projected to lose about 20%, to be down by 20% by the end of this year. And I pointed out, Madam Speaker, that that could spell some difficulty for us here who are dependent on the United Kingdom government for assistance. In that budget, Madam Speaker, I presented the revenue of expenditure, Madam Speaker, the revenue estimates for the fiscal year 2020-21 is $126.65 million, Madam Speaker, a decrease of 9% over last year's figure. And this, of course, is due to the fallout of COVID-19. Madam Speaker, the estimates revenue for from local sources has declined, projected decline from 58 million to 37 million, a 36% fallout of local revenue projected for this year. In the budget, Madam Speaker, we are encouraging men to undertake annual screening and treatment for prostate. And my government have agreed to subsidize at least one visit per year to each man who goes to the doctor for tests for prostate. Likewise, Madam Speaker, my government will support the Pink Ribbon Charity in its effort to provide screening for early detection of breast cancer. In that budget, Madam Speaker, I outlined a number of fiscal incentives. Some was in place way back in our time, and others are new. Madam Speaker, the idea of these incentives is to encourage businesses to grow and to encourage new entries into the business world. As I stated, Madam Speaker, in that budget, we will increase the tariff on sugary drinks and reduce tariffs on healthy drinks and healthy food supplements. Madam Speaker, any reasonably thinking individual who understands that what the world economies has gone through over these past months would not criticize a shortfall in the budget, but rather encourage us and help us to find ways as to how we can meet those shortfalls. Let me hasten to say, Madam Speaker, that we are in discussion with DFID. DFID is aware of the projected shortfalls, and we are in discussion with them. I will speak to that a little later, Madam Speaker, as I address the concerns or the contribution made by the members of the opposition. I pointed out last Thursday, Madam Speaker, that this budget is both realistic and ambitious, in that we have taken bold steps to ensure that the services offered to the population remains intact, and that we present a budget that is real, that the people of this country will not be impacted significantly because of this shortfall. Madam Speaker, the budget is ambitious in that it still brings some hope to the people of this country in spite of the difficult times in which we are living. I pointed out a little earlier, Madam Speaker, this government will continue to provide all of the services which it normally provides to the population in spite of the budgetary shortfall. Madam Speaker, we will never let this people of this country down. We will not allow them to suffer. And we will do everything within our powers as a government to ensure that they are treated with dignity and with respect. And I make this promise, Madam Speaker. My government will fight to the end to protect the dignity of our people. And let me hasten to say, Madam Speaker, when I say our people, it matters not which part of the Caribbean you're from. As long as you're living here, you're one of us. As long as you live on this island, this administration will not discriminate in any way towards any one of you. You are, in fact, a part of us. There are persons in this House, Madam Speaker, who would want the population to panic, as though the end of the world is near. But I can assure you that my government have only one agenda, and that agenda is about the people of this country. Not about me, not about us in this House, about all of us who are living in this country. And our agenda is to look out for the well-being of all of you. I am in this position, Madam Speaker, not for myself, but I'm called to serve. That's what the Master called us to do, to serve one another. At times, it calls for us to wash our neighbor's feet, but that's what we are called to do, and that is what we will do as a government. We will serve. And that is why, Madam Speaker, COVID funds were never politicized by members of this government. As a matter of fact, we kept as far as possible from it because we wanted it to be open, to be transparent, to be honest and fair. We simply put in place a policy, Madam Speaker, and allow the public servants to manage those funds. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, no one can say that these ministers and parliamentary secretary did anything undercover. Yes, Madam Speaker, I am the first to admit to the opposition that there were some drawbacks in the system. Yes, things were not upfront at all times. It started off very rugged. And I admit that there are persons who are still waiting for payment, and I truly apologize for that, Madam Speaker. It's hard when persons who are depending on something from government do not receive it on time. And so on behalf of all of us on this side, Madam Speaker, I truly apologize. It is difficult. It is difficult, Madam Speaker, when persons have nothing to live on and cannot receive help. I am the first, Madam Speaker, to admit that the teething problems were there. But I'm pleased to report, Madam Speaker, that they have been overcome and persons have been receiving their monies on a regular basis. We understand, Madam Speaker, that this is the first time in 25 years that government is in a position to give assistance in this way. So obviously the systems were not in place, and they had to be put in place. And I urge the opposition, Madam Speaker, to work with us, work with the people, encourage us, encourage them, and help them so they can maximize the benefit which are afforded to them. I wish to thank the staff, Madam Speaker, of the Treasury, the Department of Social Services, the Ministry of Finance, and other public servants who spent endless nights trying to get the system right, trying to ensure that the monies go out to those who need it most, trying to ensure that relief is given to the persons who need it. I thank them very much, Madam Speaker. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, when the audit of these funds are completed, barring the toothache that we had, or the hiccups, everything will be above board, sorry, Madam Speaker. I can assure this House that nothing has been done to these funds that will warrant an investigation. And if so be it, Madam Speaker, I welcome it, because I know that we have done our best to ensure the integrity of these funds. Madam Speaker, during the budget debate yesterday, my colleagues on this side of the House highlighted their ministry's achievement and projections for the coming year and beyond. The Honorable Minister of Education and Health encouraged us, Madam Speaker, to embrace the past so that we can know where we come from, that we can chart a course for where we want to go. He spoke to what he referred to as the transformation era, and then the years of national pride, and the years of transformation. Those years, Madam Speaker, which laid the foundation for us. The road traveled by many politicians before us. They struggled. They had the ups and downs. But it was because they wanted us, men and women, boys and girls, to be free. Free in inverted commas. We saw their boldness. We saw their tenacity, decade after decade. And they survived, giving us a future. And so, Madam Speaker, we too must leave a future for those coming behind us. Madam Speaker, I say we are free, but not free. As we continue to struggle to bring dignity to the people we are called to serve. And even though, as my colleague minister said yesterday, even though we have a constitution, it is still not ours, because this document can be flaunted by our mother country when it suits it. But we also remember the struggles which we encountered, and we will persevere as they did. So we have a goodly heritage, so that we have a legacy to leave for those behind. Honorable Hector supported her minister and highlighted the efforts made by social services and the Ministry of Health and Community Services, outlining government plans to work with the various groups in the country: seniors, youth, women, men, boys and girls. She also raised some concerns, Madam Speaker, on situations which need to be addressed. And we will deal with those matters, Madam Speaker, as we go along. I give her my pledge. Honorable Bufang, Madam Speaker, Minister of Agriculture, outlined plans which the ministry is putting in place for agricultural development in Montserrat. He spoke to government's intention to seek to work with DFID and the private sector to provide housing solutions for the people of Montserrat. And as we plan to work with private sector entities, Madam Speaker, to see what they can contribute in terms of improving the housing stock on Montserrat for middle income and upper income groupings. He further outlined, Madam Speaker, activities now on its way to enhance agricultural production, agriculture, and increase food production. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Joseph, Minister of Commerce and Works, gave an account of the things which were achieved by his ministry in the past year, and then gave an update on ongoing projects within his ministry. Having given us that update, he gave a comprehensive outline of Government of Montserrat's plan to digitize some of his services and to allow for ICT to play a meaningful role in Montserrat's economic development, now and in the future. Madam Speaker, we are working assiduously to improve the lives of our people and to leave a legacy behind us. Madam Speaker, I now turn my attention to the contributions made to the budget by the members of the opposition. I listened attentively, Madam Speaker. I heard their concerns. And I'm willing to talk to them, Madam Speaker, as to how we can work with some of their suggestions. In particular, Madam Speaker, Honorable Hogan. I recognize that in the 5 hours spent in debating the budget, Madam Speaker, a lot of it was spent on grandstanding. But that's the name of the game. It's our platform. And even though it's early days yet before election, we are campaigning, but that's fine. That's what we do at budget. That's what we do in debate. We let people know that we are working for the money that they're paying us. At least, some of us. Some people don't represent the people who elected them in Parliament. You don't see some of them for months. So at least, Madam Speaker, yesterday, some members earn their wage. On a serious note, Madam Speaker, the members spoke for at least 5 hours, divided among themselves. And there were three main areas that they spent time on. The budget deficit, COVID-19 funds, and the Social Security Fund. There were other areas, but these are the major ones, which merit some rebuttal or some discussion. Madam Speaker, I understand that the opposition would want the public to think that they care about them. But we care too. That's why we're here. They would want them to think that they have them on their side. All of a sudden, Madam Speaker, some people just come nice to people. Nice. When I drive in Little Madam Speaker, I drive my car glass down all times. I drive through Montserrat, I drive my car glass down all the time. I stop all the time. And I sit at the roadside and talk to people. So I don't have to play nice, because that's who I am. I talk to people, I stop to people. But nowadays, Madam Speaker, some people could turn the glass down. And they're talking about driving from Salem to St. Peter's. And they meet people on the road. And they're helping people. That is new to them. But that's the whole story to me. Anyhow, that's a little laugh. I don't call anybody name. But on a serious note, Madam Speaker, we are not shying away from the fact that there's a budget deficit. We're foolish of me to do that. I will not shy away from it. And that is why we came straight. We could have done otherwise, as I'll say later, I'll discuss it a little later. But we came straight. And we are holding discussions with DFID. And we are pretty sure that DFID will respond favorably to this shortfall. But you understand, members, that by law, the budget must be passed by the end of June. You understand that. If you haven't, then you waste your time in Parliament for the last 5 years. That the budget must be passed by the end of June. So I must sign a general warrant sometime next week to ensure that people can be paid, monies can be available to spend. If I delay the budget, and the Honorable Premier, former Premier, knows that, if he doesn't know that, then he would have wasted his time as Premier. Because he too have presented late budgets. And the only reason why I'm presenting this budget late is because of COVID. Because my budget should have been ready on the 15th of March. And that would have been a balanced budget. That would have been one. It was balanced. But circumstances beyond our control, Madam Speaker. COVID-19, Madam Speaker, deprive us and the country of being able to raise revenues for 3 months. So clearly, there is going to be a shortfall. The question is, how do we make it up? And we will do everything possible to make it up without bringing hardship to bear on the people of this country. But I have to do a budget. I presented the budget last week because I want to make sure that before this month end, the people in the various accounting officers can spend money and pay people who we owe. Again, Madam Speaker, we can't put more hardship on people. We owe business places who are struggling, and then we don't pay them because the budget is not passed. We can't do that. So I hope members on the other side understand the reason, the rationale for bringing that budget. And I hope they support it, unlike some people, Madam Speaker. We have to be reasonable individuals. We have to understand that the budget before us is not in normal times. In normal times, I would tell you, don't vote for it. In normal times, we would not have brought here a budget that's not balanced. It wouldn't happen. We know what the management and financial regulations say about budgets. And we know what DFID would have said if it was normal times. But these are not normal times. And that is the only reason why a budget is before you with a deficit. And I urge you to use your conscience and vote for it. And trust me that we will raise that $22 million somehow or the other. Not by taxes, not by additional taxes, but we will raise it. We know how DFID function. Madam Speaker, if senior politicians in this House don't understand by now how DFID function, I forgive Honorable Hogan. Because, the first term, he didn't spend much time in the House. He worked at the airport. So I forgive him. So his number of years in the House is reduced because those years were spent somewhere else. But I don't forgive former Honorable Premier. Because he's now in the House, 10 years? And 5 years at the helm, dealing with DFID. So he must understand, unless he's pretending, he must understand how DFID works. DFID is not going to tell me tomorrow morning, here is $22 million. They're not going to do it. DFID allow us to work our budget through to a certain point and then come through. I am just here in this helm for 6 months, and I understand that because I have done my homework before I got here. So if the Honorable former Premier doesn't know that, then he would have wasted his time. Or, in other words, he is grandstanding to appease the listeners. And that's fine. That's politics. That's politics. But we must not. We are responsible. The reason why people voted for us is because they think that we are responsible citizens of this country. And they expect us to be truthful. I'm not saying anybody's not truthful. They expect us to be open and frank and to educate them, Madam Speaker. Educate them so that they can follow us. But when we deliberately sow discord and make people believe that we have something to hide, that is not what we are elected to do. People put us here and they expect the best from us. Yes, we are human. To err is human, Brother Charles? Or to what is divine? Not helping me. Yes. We are human. Yes. I have sought advice outside of my Ministry of Finance because as a politician, I don't have to take the advice at all times from the FS or from Deputy Finance Secretary or from anybody in the Ministry of Finance or from anybody in my ministry or in the government. I seek advice and I discuss the deficit budget with other persons who understand. And yes, Madam Speaker, and in our discussion, the ideal thing to do, the ideal budget is a balanced one. But we understood, and we said, this is the direction that I will take with my government. And we did. And I urge the opposition to support it. I don't want to say, Madam Speaker, I hope the Honorable independent member on the opposition side votes for the budget, in spite of his lyrics yesterday. So, I hope. Because I don't want to remind him, Madam Speaker, that one year when he was on that side of his house, there was a bill for Red Cross, to assist Red Cross, and he voted against it. So I hope we don't do this one so, because money in this to help people. And I don't tell people, the people out there, that he voted against the budget, so they can't get medication at the hospital. So they can't get nothing on. I don't want to do that. So I'm urging him, Madam Speaker, to vote for the budget. I don't believe, Madam Speaker, that my learned and honorable members on the side would have wanted me to cut. I could do two things. I could bring a budget that's balanced, with cooked figures, because figures can be moved around. You all know that. So I could bring a budget and balance it, and say, here's a balanced budget. I could bring a budget with cuts, reducing the expenditure, but I'm sure you all didn't want me to cut, sorry, Madam Speaker, I'm sure the members didn't want me to cut the hospital bill so they can't purchase medication to help persons who can't buy them. I'm sure you all didn't want that. Sure they didn't want that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm sure the honorable member out there wouldn't want anybody to go to the hospital with a prescription. And the pharmacist said to them, well, we have no money to buy drugs. I'm sure he doesn't want that. So if I cut the budget, this would cut the figures would happen. I'm sure, Madam Speaker, that the members on the other side wouldn't want me to cut the budget and cut social welfare payments. Because if I cut, Madam Speaker, I have to cut across the board. And it means that if I cut, social services budget will also be cut. And so persons will not be able to get their $9 a month. And I'm certain that my colleagues on the other side would not want it to happen. I'm certain that. But I could have cut. But cutting was not an option, because I want people to live on what they have. I'm sure, Madam Speaker, that my honorable colleagues on the other side didn't want me to cut the education budget so that the children who are on the lunch program can't get lunch. Because these are some of the things that you may have to cut if you have to balance your budget as it is. But I can't cut. We talk about people, little man and so. These are the people who are in need of our help. And so I'm not going to come here, Madam Speaker, and pretend and cut, and deprive little children who go into school and certain of 1 meal per day and cut their lunch program. No, I'm sure you all don't need that. You wouldn't do that. I'm sure that. At least, you all have some conscience. I'm sure, Madam Speaker, that my colleague members on this house wouldn't want me to cut the health budget, so that when the need arises for Medivac to take a patient out of this country, that we say to the family members, we don't have money to send them. We can't do that. So we have to, Madam Speaker, preserve these funds and ensure that we receive the additional funds to provide these services. When a poor person comes to me and say, you have to fly a family member to Antigua, and the minister turns to them and say, or the team said to them, oh, sorry, but we don't have money. It's life and death, Madam Speaker. And so there are some aspects of this budget, Madam Speaker, is life and death. We can't cut. We will not cut. I was going to say something, but my colleague minister called and told me don't say it, so I won't say it. I could cut, but I start here. I could cut, but if I cut, I start in here. And I made a boast about that. So, you want me to cut? I will cut. But I cut across the board, and I don't need some support, I'll cut. But that's not an option right now. Madam Speaker, I admire the passion of the honorable leader of the opposition and his American voice. Oh my. That voice is special when it comes to debating. I hear the cries of the people. The cries of the people. We can't breathe. Thank God for Floyd. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. Take your knee out of our neck. Take your knee from people's neck. Madam Speaker, I have to laugh, because my good friend, we talk. He gave me licks yesterday, so it's my turn to give licks now. And me last to talk. So you all right? But we still friends afterwards. I think a bit about politics. We cause some quarrel inside here, but outside we're still friends. Madam Speaker, when the honourable member was uttering these words yesterday, these are words of struggling people and enslaved people, people without freedom. The Black Lives Matter, Madam Speaker, was fighting, and they fighting for years for us to take our knee off the neck and to let them breathe. Madam Speaker, we see what happened to Floyd, and we empathize. Mommy, we sympathize with Mommy. Madam Speaker, our sympathy goes out to the family. The boy poor boy calling him mother. Mother dead, and poor. That is suffering. If Montserrat people are enslaved to that degree, clearly, Madam Speaker, the former government is responsible for having people enslaved. How can a member of the former administration, Madam Speaker, who watched the people of Montserrat suffer for 5 long years, utter these words 6 months after leaving office? We can't breathe. People got to breathe in for 5 years. They were struggling. They were underwater. They weren't struggling. So now 6 months in this position, and you say you can't breathe. What a travesty. Madam Speaker, I don't think that what the member wanted to say now. But you see, it's on radio. I hear it on radio. We can't breathe. So it's a familiar phrase. So let's join in. We can't breathe. And I know for certain, though, the honorable independent member on the other side didn't join him and said so. Didn't join him. But I understand why the honorable leader is doing that. People on radio and about calling in and say we can't breathe. And he wants to be on the right side, so he joined them. Honorable Hogan talked about the little man, throwing the little man in deep waters. And I wouldn't talk about no crusher. I wouldn't talk about no crusher money. Because when some people talk about little man, all we care about is ourselves. And I know my cousin well. And the only person the cousin think about himself. Me not much. Me could talk, Madam Speaker, come from the same village in Langwam. Cousin. So I could say, I know. And when he finished with me, he called me cousin when he finished. Forgive me, Madam Speaker, no disrespect. Madam Speaker, I didn't want to go on this road, but for 5 years, there were no jobs. People were juggling between payment of rent and utilities. They tell me so. 1 month they pay the rent, 1 month they pay the utility, 1 month they pay the rent, 1 month they pay utility. They couldn't breathe. People use their savings. And when that was depleted, Madam Speaker, they pack up and leave. So they can't make it here. They tell me so. In 5 years, Madam Speaker, 500 people in this country. We try to build population. We want to build a population up to 6,005. And when 500 people in 5 years, in a population that we want to build, what's that? That is suffering. You're right. Because they couldn't breathe while they left. But I mean, we may know you, right? We're good. We know you, Madam Speaker. We're still good. But I'm just trying to show the people that it's one thing to politicize an issue. It's one thing to be genuine in your concern for people. And I know that this team is genuine in the concern for people. It is the welfare of people first. We borrow a phrase from some other party, people first. And they try to portray us as heartless people during COVID. They say it. Because they try to tell people that MCAM don't have no heart. We heard them, but we weren't handling monies. I make no bones about it. I'm not blaming nobody. But I'm simply saying we put a policy in place, and the policy needed to tweet. We tweeted it. We listened, and we did it. So we're not. But they portrayed us. Oh, we are the best people who can't care about you. They even come and collect food package and carry and put them on TV. They go to the center and pick up food package and carry, give one individual and got it on TV, say, he bring food package, give. Where give money from? Government money. But it's all right. That's good. Call no name. Call name. Mr. Lewis, is you? Sorry, Madam Speaker. You know Mr. Lewis, right? I'm not sure Mr. Romy. I want to see Mr. Romy. And with this. Oh, no, with this. With this. Yeah, okay, so. Madam Speaker, for 5 years, the government were not hearing any cries of the people. The ears were stuffed. As a matter of fact, I noticed, Madam Speaker, that some of my good friends walk shortcut on the back road when they're going home. You know when they told me that? Hiding from the people. When you take back road to go to your house, what you do? No hide, you hide? You want to hide people? They take back road. You know, walk on the main road, people see them, could stop them. But I walk on the front road every day. I stop at Carsby, stop at St. John's, stop at Salem. I have nothing to run from. I care about you. And this team, Madam Speaker, this team cares about people. They could paint us how they want us. We understand the role to which we are called. And all of us have some semblance of Christ in us. So we understand how to empathize with people. And not by words only, but by deeds as well. Madam Speaker, I move on from this stimulus package to the COVID-19 stimulus. I'm moving from the deficit budget to the stimulus package. Because, oh my, the opposition had, how do I term it? I'm trying to find a word, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 3 weeks after the government took measures to curtail the spread of COVID-19, coronavirus, we appealed to the United Kingdom, Madam Speaker. And less than 3 weeks after submission, thanks to FS and his team, and my members of my office, and the UK office, and the DFID office in London. 3 weeks, Madam Speaker, after the shutdown, we shut down the country on the 28th of March. And by the 15th of April, Madam Speaker, we got a letter from London saying, we approved $8 million, £2.5 million to help with COVID-related. And I stress that, Madam Speaker, because the notion among that's the word I'm looking for. That's the word. The notion among the populace, Madam Speaker, is that the money comes for give away. To give away. Let me be English. To give away. But the people don't understand, it comes for give away. So give away. Far from the truth. Yes, some was to give to people to help them through. But other areas had to be covered, Madam Speaker. We had to fix up an isolation ward just in case, Madam Speaker. We had to fix golden years, Madam Speaker, so that we can move the people from Max Memorial over there in case we need anything. We had to fix up, Madam Speaker. We had to buy PPEs for the frontline workers. We had to buy computers for school. We had to do all kinds of things with the money. But all they bank on is to give people. And so they tell people the money come for you. They even work it out how much each household could get, out 8 million. So none for buy PPEs for doctors and nurses, and the wardens and the maids who work in the isolation ward. None to buy that. None to buy none to fix up the isolation ward and retrofit it. None to fix up Max Memorial. None to buy other things. None to buy iPads for the school children and teachers so that they can do distant learning. None. And I stressed, Madam Speaker, on a number of occasions on radio that the monies are for COVID-related activities. We never at one time said it was to give away only. And so I urge, and if there is another chance, I hope not, but I urge my parliamentary colleagues to help us. Don't spread rumors. Don't spread false rumors. Help us. Speak the truth. Truth will set you free. You're not getting an extra vote for that. You might think so. But when people find out the truth, they're going to laugh at you and say, lie. Sorry. They're going to laugh at you. Madam Speaker, take away that word. Slip. So, Madam Speaker, I urge my colleagues. I apologize for that slip, Madam Speaker. I urge my colleagues in this House. If you don't know the truth, ask us. If you don't know the facts, I'm approachable. My ministers are approachable. The FS is approachable. The staff downstairs, Deputy Premier, everybody, the Deputy Premier, Deputy FS, everybody, we're available. And if you don't know, we're going to find out. Because I don't know everything. If I tell you I know everything happening in the Ministry of Finance, I don't know. But I get update weekly. That's the difference between me and some people else. I get a weekly update. So at least I'm abreast of what's happening. But, Madam Speaker, the monies came to assist Montserrat in different ways. And we have used it. The money came, Madam Speaker, for 3 months in the first instance. And we thought, from what we saw, the history of COVID, that it might have gone beyond three months. And so we said 3 months in the first instance. In the unlikely event that there was a second wave, Madam Speaker, we surely would try and find something else. But this one was for the first 3 months. And I believe that as time was getting close to the end of the 3 months, people start panicking that they weren't getting monies. And I understand why. And members on the other side didn't help us much in that. They didn't calm the waters. As a matter of fact, in some cases, Madam Speaker, they spill oil or spill fuel on the fire. And so I hear people saying, you want to come forward? Gary. I'm sorry. That's not the case. I hear about a household in which there was one adult, was it? And 5 children? Or 2 adults and 5 children? 1 and 5. Madam Speaker, in the Montserrat context and in the COVID-related monies, if a household received a $900, Madam Speaker, and if an honorable member of this House know of a family who is desperate, who is in need of something else, just call or go down by community services as a politician, carry the name, and give them a phone number, because the Ministry of the Department of Community Social Services have other programs in place to help children. During COVID, Madam Speaker, they bought Pampers, they bought baby food for baby formula, they bought baby powder, they bought something for children, Madam Speaker. Babies got and children got out of COVID money. So this is no deliberate attempt to punish children. If the children were not included in Nigerians, simply call social services as an adult, as a leader in the government, in this house, and ask them to assist. And certainly, Madam Speaker, they would have helped, because they have done it already, and they'll certainly do it again. I personally know that people call, and I say call XYZ, because they wanted Pampers, they wanted baby formula, and they got it. So what is the noise? Seem to make trouble, to make mischief? That's not how we operate. We are responsible people, and we must show leadership in everything that we are doing as leaders. Here's a problem. The biggest problem, Madam Speaker, is this: that we shouldn't use any verification mechanism, none whatsoever. But let me just use one scenario. A certain young lady was told to fill her form, and put on that form that she pay herself $5,000 a month. And that's a fact. It's not makeup. I don't make up something that's up in the house. This has implications not only for the fund, but for the individual. Because if you are paying yourself $5,000 a month, then you're taxable. You now have to pay taxes. So yes, if in fact we had no verifier, and we approved your form, then we could come at you tomorrow morning and say, hey, have you filled your tax return? Because it's going to get in. That was the intention anyway. But if we didn't have some means of verifying the information on applications for the businesses, for instance, Madam Speaker, the fund would have gone dry by now, because people could put anything they pay in their staff. My staff, I'm paying my staff $10,000 a month. I have no way of knowing that. So when the administration of the funds decide to use Social Security as a verifier, not to refuse, but to ensure that what you say you are paying your worker is in fact what you have registered them for. And once that is there, you are cleared. Because, Madam Speaker, we are human. And if I hear about money, when we hear about money, oh, Madam Speaker. So people write anything on the farms. Oh, I pay my staff so much, so much, so much. Only to find out that when we reach Social Security, nothing goes so. So we had to protect the fund and protect the institution. So that at the end of the day, the Ministry of Finance, Community Services can justify to defeat, these are how the funds are spent. Madam Speaker, I hear they ask about criteria. Criteria for the fund. Criteria established. They are established. They're on the forms. They're within the ministries. They're in community social services. The criteria for each program is printed on the forms. So when you download the form, and I understand that some people don't have computer, but other people who didn't have computer asked me to fill the form for them, and they drop it themselves. So you don't have to have a computer. Yes, not having a computer could be a little drawback. But at the same time, forms were handed in manually, and they were posted. As a matter of fact, they were posted even faster. Persons called from their home, called social services, give them the information, and social services verified, and they got their payment in 3 or 4 days. A young man come and tell me, "We be able to get the body ready." I said, "What do you mean?" He applied the Tuesday, and by the Friday, he tell me get the money. We said, "No." So yes, Madam Speaker, there are positive cases, and there were those who, but the system worked. Because I am convinced that having Social Security database as a verifier we save the funds and more people are able to benefit from the fund, from the stimulus fund. More. Here's another example, Madam Speaker. My colleague, and let me talk, I could say it, right? I could talk what you want to want. Madam Speaker, when social security, when social services was verifying a number, Madam Speaker, when they call the person answering in another country, I don't call the country name, when they call the number, Madam Speaker, the person pick up and say, oh, I'm not in Montserrat, I'm so-and-so place. So people were living in somebody's house, they gone away, they leave, and you apply for them. These are some of the things that we had to, that the fund had to encounter, Madam Speaker, had to deal with. We had to make sure, Madam Speaker, yes, phone calls were made. Yes, Social Security was in it. Tax was never part of it. Taxation was never part of the system. Or some going to make it. Never. But, Madam Speaker, I am confident this morning that in spite of the couple hiccups, the people for whom the fund was intended benefited. We talk about, sometimes we have selective hearing. I hear an ad that people can get up to $10,000, depending in the private sector, depending in the tourism sector, up to. But we deliberately don't hear the up to. We simply hear $10,000. And that was the major source of contention with some businesses, because they hear $10,000 and everybody qualify. But you qualify based on your presentation of your utility bills, your rent bills, and your insurance. Once you provide those, and they're verified, the units process you in less than a time. So, Madam Speaker, the opposition had a field day. That's what I was looking for. They had a field day on the COVID fund. How is it managed? Field day. As a matter of fact, one member even went to London to say the funds are mismanaged. I don't call her name, I don't know who he is. One member wrote to London to say the funds are being mismanaged. The same thing they did in 2014, Madam Speaker, when they killed LBC and they killed PIU. They told Diffie that Montserrat corrupt. That's what they did. And they killed LBC. And since then, the country don't get one project. And they killed PIU, which is functioning to be able to build our houses. Same story, Madam Speaker. The same individual. But I tell him one day, Madam Speaker, I met him and I asked him, well, what do you call your skin? I'm not racist. I asked him, what do you call your skin? I said, well, if you tell some people me corrupt, they must say you're corrupt too. So said, so done. So said, so done. We have to be careful. Yesterday, on the recording said, when you're on that side of the house, you have to be careful what you say. Because when you come out here, it haunts you. I learned that long ago. So in opposition, I don't say certain things. I served in opposition twice, 3 years and 5 years. And I don't destroy the government. Because if I destroy the government this year, I destroy myself next year. And that's a word of wisdom to opposition members. You kill the government this year, next year you come on the side, and you kill yourself. And that is why right now, Madam Speaker, I hear they're asking for the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. It's available online. I'm sure once it's ready, it's going to be online. Because for the last how much years, Madam Speaker, my colleague, Honorable Dr. Samuel Joseph, and myself, had to go online on the Ministry of Finance website to download the MOU. Nobody gave us. Nobody discussed with us. And now they have the audacity to asking me and the FS to provide MOU. And they never give us. We always have to go online and download it and read it to understand what they sign off on. Yesterday, the Honorable Minister was asking me about signing. I don't sign MOU. It is the FS and Diffie, the technical people, sign the MOU. I read it. I know what's in it. Because I'm not going to let anybody sign nothing on my behalf and I don't know what's in it. I don't know what other people do. But nobody's signing no paper for Thai government without me knowing the paper. Whether the deputy or the substantive or whoever. You're not signing no paper, I'm not there. Because of the government, and I said the government responsible. And so, when they asked me about the MOU yesterday, we will make it available. You're not to hide. But what you want for yourself, what you don't want for yourself, don't give to others. You never see MOU unless we go and resort yourselves. And so, when you kill MBC and you kill PIU, you are talking about transparency. And you want to kill the people of Montserrat. Same people who you want to say you want to help. You're telling David, oh, the money, money mismanaged. So come down and look at it because it's managed. What you're asking for now is an investigation in my government and by technical people. That's what you're asking for. And he's not the only one. But I can't call people who are not in the house. I know that rule. But there's some of his allies who do the same thing. Go to London, FCO News Desk, to tell them money is mismanaged. You think it's easy? That's what we're going through. I didn't tell my colleague that. I don't think I told him that. I kept it to myself. I didn't tell him that. That's what I know. Some of his colleagues, right, not parliamentary colleagues. Honorable Lewis is a decent man. He's not going to do that. He talks plenty. And he bad talk something, but he's not going to do that. But they wrote to London saying that the funds are mismanaged. Yesterday they hinted it. They didn't deny it. They hinted it. Another allied of his did the same thing. I have the letter. I have the email. So I could talk for the one here. Madam Speaker, I wanted the honorable member, the honorable dance room to be here. For this one. I'm not saying he walked on me because he could hear forever he is. But in 2014, Madam Speaker, or before that, in 2009, when the honorable member was sitting on the other side of the house, 2009, 2014, oh my, he campaigned left, right, and center about $900 can't keep people, and they need $1,400. He campaigned from it up Montserrat, down Montserrat, across Montserrat, in Montserrat. Every day campaign, $900 can't keep people. Or this will get $1,500, 15 or 14. Charles gone. $14 or $15. This is what to get, because $900 can't keep them. He campaigned for 4 or 5 long years on that. And one would have thought, Madam Speaker, that having you that as your campaign signature tune, that when you get into office, the first thing you'll do is to what? Change it. Here we are again, Madam Speaker, 5 years on, and the people in social welfare still getting $900. And the former premier telling people that $900 is not enough now again. So you're using it to campaign again? Can't work this time. You didn't do anything. You were Minister of Finance at the time for 5 years, and you didn't change it. And now you come to tell people, if, Madam Speaker, we had come in here, and I'm sure that the FS and the ministerial staff would bear me out, if we had come in here and meet $1,500 as the baseline figure for social services, that is what would have been paid to the people of Montserrat for self-employed persons and household individuals. That $1,500, if it was paid, it was changed. And that was our baseline figure. The people would have gotten $1,500. Mr. Honorable Rome is responsible for them not getting it because he didn't change the figure. And they want people to believe that he's the great I am. He's the honest man, the truthful man. That's what he's doing, Madam Speaker. He was Minister of Finance. He could easily change it. All he did is SRNO. He not even a cabinet paper. He said it's RNO. And he goes to cabinet every week. He could have done that less than no time and pay the people $900, $1,500. But he chose not to. Because he wants to use again in 2019 to 20-something to campaign again in our work this time. Not this time. He should have changed it. Should have given them $1,500. I don't need to be hard. I don't want to be hard on them. I don't go on the road and then people tell me be hard and then I come back and hard. No, I don't do that. I'm just putting the facts. And if I'm sounding a little harsh, because sometimes, Madam Speaker, when I know people trust me and believe in me, I must never take advantage of people's trust and belief. If people trust me to be truthful, Madam Speaker, I must be truthful at all times. If people trust me to be honest, Madam Speaker, I must be honest at all times. But, Madam Speaker, because some members of this House know that people trust them. They are aliens of the truth. Because we know that people trust us, Madam Speaker, some of us are aliens of the truth. I'm not saying we don't speak the truth. I simply say that some of us are aliens of the truth. And so that when I go out there and I speak, people believe me. So I shouldn't push in a little untruth in the mix of it. But that's the pattern of some people. I'm not saying people in this house. I say some people. And so when they speak, when they speak now, my speaker, I can't believe what they say. Because I find that they're not very truthful at all times. I'm not saying any member of this house, is untruthful, is not truthful. I'm not saying that at all. But they're not truthful at all. And so you listen to them talking, Madam Speaker, and you wonder what is truth. And when you reach a stage when you have to start figure out what is truth and what is not truth, it is bad. Because people trust me to be truthful. And I must be truthful. Again, to tell people that we should be giving $1,500 instead of $900 and you didn't change it. That's dishonesty. Because you could have done it. I'm going to change that now, Madam Speaker. What amazes me most is that of all the talk about COVID funding, all the talk, there are two members on that side of the House who are fathers of school children. Two. And never for one moment they inquire about the education system. At least, not in my hearing. Never in one moment have they asked, what about school? How are you planning for school? How are you planning for the education of my child? Or the children that we care for? We say we care, you know. And school is the first agent or, that's the word, not agency. Call it agency if you want to. First institution, thank you, brother, that was closed down. March 16th? Yeah, March 16th. Schools were closed. Children are home until now, except we started off on the 9th of June. Children are home. And they never one day ask, well, what are you doing about our children? All the talk on radio is about COVID money and grant and assistance and business thing. Children know. We talk about education. We care. And that is why we are spending money to make sure that our children are being catered for through online learning. That's why we're doing it. She don't like to hear me call her name. I have an 8-year-old granddaughter home. And right now, she's home doing lessons with a teacher. Because, I'm not saying we can afford it, but we have provided an apparatus. But there are children, Madam Speaker, who out there who cannot do online learning because the parents don't have it. And so the government have decided to take part of the COVID money and purchase apparatus so that they can do their lessons. Nobody asked about that. No member on the opposition side. And they care about people, care about children. Children education is important for us. The future of this country, my colleague, Honorable Colonel, will talk about education is the bedrock of this country. And no child must be left behind. But they don't care. Children can't vote. They can't vote now. But some of them could vote in the next election. I warn you. Can't vote now, but next 5 years from now, some of them could vote. But we don't care about them. What is happening about CXC examinations? Anybody inquire? What happening about pre-CXC? Nobody inquire. Nobody care. All they care about is money. But the Bible says, the love of money, and I won't finish it, is the root of all evil. Money is good. But all I hear about, Madam Speaker, Money, 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 money. These are not relevant topics for the opposition. Parents are not important. The concerns of parents about their children, not important at this time to the opposition. Because they only look at the money. God works in mysterious ways. His wonders to perform. I'm wondering if this money was not managed by MCAP, what would happen to it? Thank God. God works in mysterious ways. We are above board. We can fly. Because we have nothing to hide. Our hands are what? Our hands are clean. Clean. We have no friends to give nothing to. We're not telling social services to give nobody nothing. And maybe that's why we suffer, you know. But that's why as a party we suffer. Because we don't know what it means to do things on the table. And so we suffer because we're too honest. We're too truthful. And so when we're in the office, they say we don't have no heart. But we have plenty heart. My colleagues here, you don't know them. Because we don't talk what we do for people, how we help people. We don't do it. That's our duty, our God-given right. And the Lord gives you, the Lord gives, and He asks you to give. Because when you give, you get more. But Sister Dorothy, Honorable Hector, when you give you press down, running over. When you give what you have. And so we don't boast, and we will not boast. Because what the Lord gives me, not for myself, is to give others. I could preach a sermon tomorrow, you know, if you want to. I could preach a sermon. Another aspect of the COVID issues. Very, very early in the crisis, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank agreed with banks, member banks, to put a moratorium in place to alleviate the hardship of persons who are paying mortgages and loans once they qualified. And so the banks here, Madam Speaker, did just that. So when I hear about people talking about the money that can't pay mortgage and can't pay loan, the COVID money was never intended to cover mortgages and loans. It's for you to live, for you to survive. It was never intended to pay mortgages and loans. Who said that? You think difficult to give us money to pay our personal loans and pocket mortgages? And experienced politicians telling people that we should pay their loan and the mortgage? Madam Speaker, and that is what I'm talking about. Not being truthful. You don't tell people, because you know fully well that that is not the case. Don't lead people down the wrong road and have them saying, because you want to say MCAP bad and MCAP bad. That's, because you want to say that, you're using false information and leading them blindly. The monies were never intended to pay for mortgages and loans. The monies were to cover basic food items and for small business, the tourism sector, for light bills and water bills and rents and so on, for small businesses, which is now, small business now getting their monies. As a matter of fact, I had a classical example. A young guy who has a small business, a home shop, as a matter of fact, he applied on Tuesday last week, and by Thursday he got a letter saying he's got his April money, rent, light, and water. Got his money. The guy was so happy. So we heard the cries, we heard the discussion by the opposition members about the small businesses. We heard it, and we adjusted it. I still wrote to FS and said, look, we need to do something about this. And my colleagues and I, we discussed it, and we said, yes, we need to. And FS said, yes. Call London, and we agreed. So right now, Madam Speaker, every small business who can provide, who can present a light bill and water bill and their rent receipt is getting assistance. What more do we want? $10,000? Can't happen. What do we want? So unless unless the members know that, let me tell them that every small business who can present receipts from Mull or Lime or Flow or Digicel or their rent receipt, once they submitted them before a certain date, I think, they are receiving their monies. But to talk about rental, to talk about mortgage and interest, mortgage and loans, no. Bank of Montserrat gives a 6-month moratorium for some people who apply. And I know credit union had something, so they are not disadvantaged. Also, Madam Speaker, the utility companies agreed with government not to carry out any disconnection for the months of March, April, and May. So we're working. We spoke to the utility companies, and they agreed that if people were in arrears and they had arrears, they weren't going to disconnect them. So right now, Madam Speaker, people pay their bills, pay whatever they could afford, because Mole is not disconnecting them right now. I don't know what happened after July, but right now they're not being disconnected. And so if the members don't know that, if that's good new news, if that's new, then that's a fact. They are not disconnecting them. I'm not going to say this part of it. I'm going to leave that out. Leave that out too. So, Madam Speaker, let me leave this out. I don't want to talk about the ICT money and the criteria. Let me not talk about that. Enough is said about that already, and other things. Madam Speaker, let me go on to Social Security. That's the last item. I think 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, a member of this Honorable House stated categorically that members on this side of the House don't read. I didn't say it. That was a damn statement. Dr. Sam and I were sitting over there, and the members say, members don't read. And I'm wondering, having listened to the discussion yesterday, I'm wondering if that's really true. Because, Madam Speaker, we laid on this Honorable House in the February sitting this document, the 8th actual review of the Montserrat Social Security Fund as of March 31st, 2018. And this report was presented to government on the 6th of June, thereabouts last year. 6th of June. It came to my attention, I had a meeting, the board of directors came to see me, I think in January, and brought me a copy of the report. We had a meeting, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these are markups, which means I've gone through the report. And so when I speak passionately, as some members of the House tweeted out last Thursday when I was talking to their people on the other side, that I am obsessed, that's the word they use, with Social Security. I don't watch Facebook. People tell me that they wrote and say, I'm obsessed with Social Security. This document, Madam Speaker, unless they haven't read it, then they will not be obsessed. Unless they haven't read it, they will not be worried at all. But I've read it. I've marked it up. And I'm concerned that if we don't do something about Social Security Fund, and I applaud the Honorable Hogan yesterday, even for once, he offered a solution. Even for once. Even for once, he offered something sensible. Even for once, he contributed to the debate in a meaningful way, and I applaud you. And I call your cousin today, I call you Honorable Hogan. And I like you, because fella. Madam Speaker, the Social Security Fund is in trouble. And what bothers me most is that the Social Security Fund protects the same little man who the government is pushing on the waters now. When they get old, Madam Speaker, they have nowhere to turn. Social Security is their lifeline when they get old. Or they will have to resort to coming to welfare. They can't be instead because they have nothing. And then the numbers will be so great, they will be overwhelming, that social welfare will not be able to carry them either. So I'm sorry for them. So, Madam Speaker, that is why we will do something. And I will ask the opposition to join us to discuss, as Honorable Hogan suggested, to charter a way forward. We will do that. Because, Madam Speaker, if this report was brought to the attention of the members of the government last year, And my good friend, the leader of the opposition, I was the leader of the union, so I know. I was sitting on the board of directors of Social Security. I was in there. He succeeded me, Madam Speaker, on the board. Guys seem to be following me. From government to union to politics. You coming out here next, ain't it? Hogan Carey's boy, you're going to be talking to it. That's Hogan's ambition, but you're going to beat him. Don't worry about that. You're following my footsteps. Don't worry. Hogan's ambition is to sit here, but you're going to beat him. Don't worry. So, Madam Speaker, my colleague was on the Social Security Board up until 2014 when he left for politics. And I would expect that my honorable colleague, honorable gentleman, colleague, to do something, to say something, to save them. Because by that time, yesterday, my honorable colleague, Joseph, said to us, he posed a question to the Honorable Minister of Finance in 2017, inquiring about the status of the Social Security Fund. And the response was that Social Security was paying out $5 million, the revenue was $3 million, and so they were taking from the reserve for the $2 million to make up the expenditure. That is bad. That's what is happening now. Social Security is still drawing down on the reserves to meet the obligation to members. That reserve is now $33 million. Reserve. And every month, Madam Speaker, or every year, they take $3 million off of the reserve. And the investment portfolio is not bringing in revenue. Because the highest investment they're getting now is 2.5% anywhere. Or 2.75, I think, from one institution. But the investments are not bringing revenue because the portfolio is not bringing any major investments all around the world. And they have lost monies through BICO and CLICO. That will make it worse. Government contribute to it as well. Because in 2001, 2002, thereabout, government decided to make a decision which impacted significantly on Social Security. And they have never recovered. And while government have contingent liability for Social Security, we will have to do something. It's going to be a hard take, but we have to do something, Madam Speaker, because the fund is going to go under if we're not careful. Not that I take everything in the report, but the actual is an expert on what he's doing. He has been working for the fund, and yesterday one of my colleagues said it should take about six workers to pay one pensioner. Now it's two workers to one pensioner. Two workers now. We should have 6 workers paying one pensioner. But presently we have 2 workers paying one pensioner. You know what that means? The fund is in trouble. And so yes, I'm obsessed with it, because we have to fix it. And what bothers me more, Madam Speaker, added to the trouble, anyhow, thank God, this is now the year of when they reach 65, retirement age, 55. We introduced early pension, Madam Speaker. 2016, here about 17. 2015 to 16. Early pension. And even though there's a penalty, which was reduced somewhat, people are still taking it. Because if I have the option to take my pension now, I don't wake up tomorrow, am I dead tomorrow? So I take the money now. So most persons are taking their early pension, which adds pressure to the fund. And these are some of the measures that we have to start looking at. Should we allow people to retire first? And when we'll retire? Or should we look at whether, if you're working still, should you be getting 100% of your Social Security pension, or you should get 50%? These are some of the things that we have to talk about. And it's going to take a lot of talking with different stakeholders. But we have to discuss it, Madam Speaker. And I would have thought that my honorable colleague, leader of the opposition, would have pushed the Minister of Finance to do something about it. But alas, that didn't happen. But we will work with them to see what we can do to salvage the fund. Madam Speaker, the irony is this. Maybe as legislators we don't care if we lose our Social Security fund because we have a government pension. Maybe we don't care. But I care. Because if people can't live, they will come to us. Some of us can't say no. Maybe some people can. Some of us can't say no. But I don't want people to beg. And yesterday my colleague make a reference that members of the public shouldn't be begging politicians. And the honorable member twisted it around to say that we call them beggars. He took the whole thing out of context. But what I'm saying, Madam Speaker, I don't want people to depend solely on me. I want people to be independent. And this is one way of ensuring that people are independent when they reach a certain age. And so we must protect the Social Security Fund. I'm obsessed? Yes, I am. Because we must fix it. We must fix it. The reserve is going down, and we have to fix it. We have to stop the gap. Young people, Madam Speaker, who are paying the pension into funds now are servicing us. And when their turn comes, if you're not careful, there'll be nothing for them. There are public servants and others who the only pension they have is Social Security, Madam Speaker. There are people in the private sector who the only pension they can depend on when they get old is Social Security. And if we don't save it now, Madam Speaker, they will not have anything to fall back on. And that will be sad. So I'm urging members, as soon as the Social Security Board put themselves together and start the education program, that we get with them and work and charter a way forward to save the fund. I hear the argument, don't put any additional burden on the people, on the workers. But Social Security must not be seen as a burden. It must be seen as a savings account. Anytime you view Social Security payment as a burden, that's going to destroy us. We must view Social Security payment as an investment in the future for ourselves. We must see it as a saving account, and we're putting with Social Security to help us in wet days. And as I said, Madam Speaker, we're going to fix this one here. And I'm sure my colleagues are going to agree with me. Nobody should be deducting payments from a worker's salary and don't pay it in. It is a criminal offense. Anybody who deducts payment from a worker's paycheck and don't pay it in, Madam Speaker, should be sent to jail. I make no compromise on that one. You can't take out my money, and then when I go to Social Security for sick benefit or paternity benefit, they say, hey, nothing will be paying for you. No. And so I urge employers out there, when you deduct your employee's money, pay it in. Even if you can't pay your portion, pay in the portion that you have deducted, because you are disadvantaging the individuals. When the wife's sick and have to go away, when the husband have to take paternity leave, or the other, not even husband, whoever they are, the father, paternity leave, when they want some of the grant to the other, Madam Speaker, when they become invalid, when they become invalid, they can't work, or when they retire, all of these benefits will be forfeited if the fund is not being paid. So, Madam Speaker, let me turn to Honorable Hogan. Thank you very much, again. You made a couple of points yesterday you wanted clarity on. You wanted clarity on the tariff on sugar drinks, and you indicate that we did not say anything about other drinks. I refer you to page 58 of the budget statement. Hogan, are you with me? Oh, want to make sure. They're filming you and say you're on your phone. Page 58, Madam Speaker, the 58-179, the reference in the budget statement states that you reference first of all on the health. Let me talk about the health financing. Health financing, 53-179, page 53. And I made a statement in the budget that you didn't. It was an oversight. I'm not saying you didn't read it. The Ministry of Health is on the path of health system reform. A key component being healthcare financing reform. In this financial year, government will retender for health economists that will build on the previous works. This is a key step in the ministry's roadmap to health financing reform. So there's work on health reforming, because we have to do it. Health cannot be free. it will not be free. People have to pay. And all the equipment that they have in the ministry now, although we are going to be giving subsidized rates for some things, people have to pay. And as my colleague said yesterday, you go to Antigua, I go to Antigua and I do a colonoscopy, it cost me $2,500. I do endoscopy, it costs about $2,000. I have to pay, because it's my health. So it's going to cost us, but we have to pay. So that is there, that's taken care of. On the sugary drinks, on page 58, 188, I did suggest that we are going to increase the tariff on sugar drink, but reduce it on healthy. Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, with me? Sorry, Madam Speaker. I just make it sure. This is to be achieved by, 188 on page 58. We're looking to increase the tariff on single-use plastic, single-use food containers, styrofoam food containers, drink containers, the period of 1 year. This is to achieve that. This will also lead to the importation of single that. What are you telling me here now? 88, yes. Oh, yes. The latter part of 188, we will seek during the third quarter of 2021 to introduce an increased tariff on sugary drinks and alcohol drinks, and seek to reduce rates on healthy foods and food supplements and over-the-counter health supplements. So we did balance it off. We're going to increase that, but we have to make provision, as you raised yesterday. We have to make provision for orange juice and other things to come down so that children can still have drinks, but at the same time don't buy sugar drinks. So we have made provision for that. Sorry. No, Sammy don't mind that. Sammy's head is government. Madam Speaker, I think I will end here and with a quote from the Honorable Hogan: when people fail to pay, they are jeopardizing their own future. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rest.
So, honorable members, you have heard the budget presentation. You have made your contributions to said presentation, and we have heard the response from the presenter of the appropriation bill. So it is now my duty to put the question to the House that the bill, appropriation bill for 2020, be read a second time. Members in favor of a second reading, could you please say aye? Aye. Those against, no. It seems the ayes have it, and so the bill will now be read a second time.
Appropriation Bill 2020.
Honorable members, the bill has been read a second time, so it is now the task of the House to go into committee and consider the bill in its detail.
Madam Speaker, Madam Chair.
Yes, recognizing the Honorable Premier.
Honorable Hogan yesterday asked about a figure on the social housing, 994,000 and some dollars. I understand it's wrongly placed. Rather than it's under 6A. It's not on the housing. It's not a EU funding. It's social housing, but it's a residue fund from the Davy Hill project, close to $1 million. And we are, so it's on.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah, go ahead.
we're asking you because there's one there as well from the CPREG, from the DFID.
That's the one I'm talking about.
800.
800?
The 800, he has one for 800 from DFID and he has the 900 something from EU. So just
The 800 is on the separate. That's for the research work that's been undertaken with the social housing design and management. That's
And then-
800. It's for the consultants for that.
and then the EU one is
And then the EU one is not EU. It's really should be on DFID. It's on the EU in the estimate, but it should be on the DFID. It should be on DFID. It's a residue fund from the $500,000 houses now we build. No disrespect. So it's a residue fund, and we are discussing with DFID what to do with it. FS DFID might want it back. We understand. Well, no, it's a residue fund, and it came on the priority project. So we can't spend it like that. We can't spend priority funding. It's DFID manage it. That's my understanding. It wasn't part of our. But yes, it reduced the capital to a certain extent, yes.
It's not part of your capital?
It's in the capital, but it's in the capital. So we hope we could use it.
You're hoping?
We hope we could use it.
Okay. But it's not under EU, it's under DFID?
Huh?
It's under
We
DFID?
change it. No, it's a mistake, I think. Fed, it's a mistake. It should be under DFID and not EU.
Okay.
Premier, what I want clarified. Okay, you say you're not there, so thanks about that. But if it's still in the budget, I think we would want to know where in the budget it is.
It's in the budget on the housing.
What I mean, you just clarify that it's not EU funding. It's the residual from the social housing pilot. That's what. So I'm saying, yeah, that's what he said. That's what you said, isn't it?
Huh? It's a residue from the priority housing project at the building Davy Hill.
Right. So I'm saying now, if you're gonna stay in the budget, what head they put you moving it to?
It's under 60. It's under 6A. Still 6A. What's it? 6A?
I don't know if the FS want to help out.
FS is 6A.
What head you gonna move it to now?
We move from about the 6 on the EU, because if they want it, we have to spend it out. So it has to be part of the budget.
Right.
You follow me?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I know where you're moving it now. But I want to know where you're moving it to. That's what I'm asking.
To DFID. To DFID. Or 6A. And the agriculture is still on the housing still. Still on the housing. But it moved from not on the EU, it was wrongly placed on the EU. It's on the DFID. So you get that? Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, there's also another amendment that we want to propose. Section 2 on the committee stage. Sorry. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, give me a minute, please. Yeah, one minute, please. It's moving from 63A. Yeah. Sorry, who wrote that? Who wrote this? Somebody wrote this? So send this. You? Send it. The money is moving from 63A, leader, to 96A. Who sent this? Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes, it's moving from 63A, which is EU, to 96A, which is defeat. Okay, Madam Speaker. Madam Chair. Over to you.
Right, so the chair hopes that everybody is clear on the amendments. To the details of the estimates. Honorable Deputy?
There's some slight technical changes I want in two budget lines. First, program 351-160, resaleable stock 20,000. This should be presented in the program 352-160, resaleable stock 20,000.
Again?
So for 351-160, resaleable stock, there's a 20,000 figure. That should be placed in budget line 352-160, same number, resaleable stock 20,000.
351?
351-160.
Sorry. Sorry, thank you.
No, you just avoiding the environment nonsense for the capital.
FS? No change? Huh?
Just to change, and also 351 resaleable stock 70,000, that should be in 352. You're just moving the number.
They moved them from 1 to 1, from 1 to 0.
Yeah.
The balance remains the same. That on the public works, on you, Sammy? Sammy, on the public works?
Probably works. Get the public works building. Get the public works building.
All right, ma'am. Yeah? That's it? That's it, very light, very light.
So we begin, honorable members, with our examination with the Development Fund votes. And the question is now that vote 12, Office of the Deputy Governor, in the amount of $2,605,800 stand as part of the schedule. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 12, Office of the Deputy Governor, in the amount of $2,605,800 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 15, Office of the Premier, in the amount of $11,829,500. Members of this Honorable House, the question to you is that this amount stands in the amount of $2,399,200. The question to you would be that this amount stand as part of the schedule. Members in favor, please say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it, and so vote 30 under the heading Agriculture in the amount of $2,399,000. $399,200 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 35, Communications Works and Labor. The amount, $54,403,900. The question to you, honorable members, is that this amount stand as part of the schedule. Members in favor, please say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it, and so vote 35, headed Communications Works and Labor, in the amount of $54,403,900 now stands as part of the schedule. On to vote 40, Education, Youth Affairs and Sports. The amount, $2,443,000. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, please say aye. Those against, no. So vote 45, Health and Social Services, in the amount of $2,443,000 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 45 is headed Health and Social Services. The amount attached is $3,859,400. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. The ayes have it, so vote 45, headed Health and Social Services, in the amount of $3,859,400 now stands as part of the schedule. We now look at the grand total for the Development Fund votes, and that total is $79,045,100. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, the total Development Fund votes in the amount of $79,045,100 now stands as part of the schedule.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, Honorable Premier.
Not the figures, under the schedule. If you look at on schedule, the caption, in bracket you have section 2 and 4, the same schedule that we're dealing with at the top. This is schedule. So it's with section 3. Change 2 to 3. Yes, please. 2 to 3, yes, please.
Thank you, Honorable Member. So I hope everyone would have taken note of that correction, that this under schedule at the top of the page there, it should say sections 2 to 3.
And while we're on that, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, if we go on, if you look at the under the supply votes, sorry,
Yes,
please. The supply vote, the total amount, the summary,
yes,
the total amount there is recorded as 277.
yes.
Should be 227.
227.
227, yes.
Yes,
please.
I have 227.
227.
Thank you, right.
Thank
So
you.
members will make note of that correction as well, that under the summary, that the grand total is 227,677,900. Okay. So we can then now move on to the supply votes, beginning with vote 5, police, in the amount of $7,329,000. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 5, police, in the amount of $7,329,000 now stands as part of the bill. Then there's vote 7, heading legal, amount $1,649,200 The question to you would be that this amount stand as part of the schedule. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no, and so the ayes seem to have it, and vote 7 under the heading legal in the amount of $1,649,200 now stands as part of the bill. And we move on to vote 8, which is the Magistrates' Court, in the amount of $196,300. Members, the question to you would be that this amount stand as part of the schedule. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no. The ayes have it, so vote 8 under the heading Magistrates' Courts in the amount of $196,300 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 9 is the Supreme Court. The amount is $766,200. Members in favor that this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please indicate by saying aye? Those against, no. The ayes have it, and so under the Supreme Court, vote 9, the amount of $766,200 now stands as part of this bill. Vote 10 is the legislature. The amount there is $1,461,000. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, please say aye. Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 10, headed legislature, in the amount of $1,461,000 now stands as part of the bill. Vote 11 is the Audit Office. The amount there is $1,284,700. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, please say aye. Those against, no. Since the ayes have it, vote 11, Audit Office, in the amount of $1,284,700 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 12 is the Office of the Deputy Governor. The amount there is $30,226,800. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, please say aye. Those against, no. And the ayes have it, so vote 12, Office of the Deputy Governor, in the amount of $30,226,800 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 13, Public Prosecution, amount $755,600. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, please say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. So vote 13, Public Prosecutions, in the amount of $755,600 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 15 is the Office of the Premier. The amount there is $21,311,200. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 15, headed Office of the Premier, in the amount of $21,311,200 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 20 is the Ministry of Finance and Economic Management. The amount there is $28,418,700. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 20, Ministry of Finance and Economic Management, in the amount of $28,418,200 now stands as part of this schedule. Vote 30 would be Agriculture. The amount there is $6,104,200. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And the ayes have it, so vote 30. Agriculture in the amount of $6,104,200 now stands as part of this schedule. Vote 35 is communications, works, and labor. The amount there is $13,834,300. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 35. Communications, works, and labor in the amount of $13,834,300 now stands as part of the schedule. Vote 40 is education, youth affairs, and sports. The amount is $11,769,800. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 40. Education, youth affairs, and sports in the amount of $11,769,800 now stands as part of the schedule, which leaves us with vote 45, health and social services. The amount there is $23,525,800. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the bill, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, vote 45, which is health and social services, in the amount of $23,525,800 now stands as part of the schedule. We now look at the total for those supply votes, and that total is $148,632,800. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. The ayes have it, and so the total supply votes in the amount of $148,632,800 now stands as part of the schedule. We move on to the summary, and on the summary we have development fund votes in the amount of $79,045,100. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And so the ayes have it, which means that total development fund votes in the amount of $79,045,100 now stands as part of the schedule. On with the supply votes, and that totals $148,632,800. That amount, the question would be to you, that this amount stands as part of the schedule. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, total supply votes in the amount of $148,632,800 now stands as part of this schedule. The grand total for development fund votes and supply votes together is $227,677,900. Members in favor of this amount standing as part of the schedule, could you please say aye? Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, the grand total in the amount of $227,677,900 now stands as part of this bill. All right, my next question to the committee is that right, my next question should be that the schedule, the entire schedule now stand as part of the bill. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no? And since the ayes have it, the schedule as presented now stands as part of the bill. We then turn our attention to the clauses. There are 6 of those. And the question to this Honorable House is that clauses 1 to 6 stand as part of the bill. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no? And since the ayes have it, clauses 1 to 6 now stand as part of the bill. The next question would deal with the enacting clause and long title. And the question to you, honorable members, is that the enacting clause and long title stand as part of the bill. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no? And so the enacting clause and the long title now stand as part of the bill. So my final question to you, honorable members, would be that the bill, as amended, be reported back to the Legislative Assembly. And so I ask you, honorable members, those in favor, could you please say aye? Those against, no?
Madam Speaker. Just for
Yes, Honorable Romeo.
just for the record, I will not be asking for division because the Honorable Premier has provided an explanation that can go on the record, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in his negotiations and support him as far as possible.
Thank you for your intervention, honorable member. And so the House can now resume its sitting. And the Assembly recognizes the Honorable Minister with responsibility for finance.
Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to report back to this Honourable House that the supplementary appropriation bill to the 20th, number 8 of 2020 have gone through the committee stage with minor amendments. Just to change the total, correct the total at the bottom of the summary, Madam Speaker, on page 6, change the summary from 277 million to 227 million. And on page 5, on the schedule, in bracketed, you have section 2 and 4. It should be 3 and 4. And with those minor changes, Madam Speaker, I commend the bill to the House. Madam Speaker? Sorry.
Yes, Honorable Premier, yes.
In doing so, Madam Speaker, I wish to move a motion for the waiving of the relevant standing order number 53 to facilitate for the third reading of the supplementary appropriation bill number 8 of 2020. I wish to.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Members of this Honorable House, It has been moved that the Appropriations Bill 2020 with the agreed upon amendments be read a third time and passed. Members in favor, could you please say aye? Members against? No? It would seem that the ayes have it, and so the bill will be read a third time.
Appropriation Bill 2020.
Members of this Honorable House, the bill has been read a third time and is accordingly passed. I recognize the Honorable Minister with responsibility for finance and economic management.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the second reading of the bill entitled Banking Amendment Bill 2020. Banking Amendment Bill 2020. Madam Speaker, sorry. Yeah. The purpose of the Banking Amendment Bill, is to amend the Banking Act number 15 of 2015, the Act. Madam Speaker, Clause 1 sets out the short title of the bill. Clause 2 is the interpretation provision for the bill. Clause 3, Madam Speaker, of the bill amends Section 2, which is the interpretation section in terms of the Act. The amendment to Section 2 includes an insertion of a new definition such as branch, CARICOM National, and Tier 1 capital. Madam Speaker, Section 4 of the bill amends Section 3(5)(a), which deals with penalties, Madam Speaker. The Act to clarify that the penalty applies to a contravention by a corporation and not only to financial institution. 3(5)(a). And the Parent Act speaks to the quantum. In the case of financial institution, the fine of 1 million. In the case of continuing offenses. And it says, Madam Speaker, not only does it deal with financial institution, but also corporation as, not only corporation, but and not only a financial institution. Madam Speaker, Clause 5 of the bill amends Section 4 of the Act to primarily place subsection 4, which sets out the power of the police. Section 4 sets out the power of the police officer accompanying an officer of the central bank to examine the books of a person carrying on banking business without a license. Section 5, Madam Speaker, Section 6, Section 5 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends Section 4 of the Act to primarily replace subsection 4, I read it already, which sets out the police officer accompanying an officer. I read it already. Section 6 of the bill deletes Section 6, Clause 6 of the bill deletes and replaces Section 5 of the Act, which addresses the appointment of receiver for the person who carries on businesses without a license. Section 7, Clause 7 of the bill amends Section 7 of the Act by replacing the reference to a financial holding company with financial group, and by extending the application of subsection 2 to a subsidiary of a foreign financial institution. Clause 8, 9, and 10 of the bill make minor amendments to Section 14, 19, and 42 of the Act, respectively, by the replacement of a number of words for greater consistency of language. Clause 11 of the bill inserts a new section 43A in Part 5 of the Act in order to provide a definition of a specific asset for the part. Clause 12 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends Section 44 of the Act, which sets out the minimum paid up or assigned capital of a licensed financial institution to replace some reference to Montserrat with a reference to the currency union. So it replaces reference to Montserrat with a reference to the currency union. Clause 13 of the bill amends Section 45 of the Act by repealing and replacing Section 2 and by inserting a new subsection 3, 4, and 5, which addresses the declaration, credit, or payment of dividend or any other transfer from profits by a licensed financial institution or licensed financial holding company. Madam Speaker, Clause 14 and 15 of the bill amend Sections 49 and 50 of the Act by replacing the term capital base with a Tier 1 capital, placing capital base with Tier 1 capital. Clause 16 of the bill amends Section 51 of the Act, which imposes a restriction on lending to employees of a licensed financial institution without the prior written approval of the central bank. Clause 17 of the bill amends Section 53 of the Act to change certain terms used for consistency, namely to replace conduct banking business with carry-on banking business, and the capital base with Tier 1 capital. Clause 18 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends Section 54 of the Act, which allows a financial institution to own a subsidiary company that engages solely in permissible activities. And a definition for permissible activities is inserted in the section by a new Section 5. Clause 19 of the bill amends Section 55 of the Act, which outlines the restrictions placed on a licensed financial institution in respect of investment in real property. In Clause 20 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends Section 57 of the Act to delete subsection 7, which describes a specific asset for that section. Clause 21 of the bill amends Section 60 of the Act. Subsection 3 is amended to provide that a person who has served as an external auditor for a maximum period under subsection 2 may not be reappointed as the external auditor until after a period of 5 years has elapsed. That's changing the time that you can come back as auditor. Clause 22 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends Section 69 of the Act with respect to penalty for the failure to submit audited financial statements. Clause 23 of the bill replaces Section 80 of the Act, which addresses the failure to comply with remedial action. Clause 24 of the bill replaces Section 88. Section 24 of the bill replaces Section 88 of the Act, which provides for notification of removal of a director and officers. Clause 25 and 26 of the bill make minor amendments to Section 89 and 92 of the Act by replacement and insertion of a certain word, respectively. Clause 27 of the bill amends Section 97 of the Act by providing that in determining whether a person is a fit, proper person to hold a particular position, regard shall be had to whether the person is a director or officer or directly or indirectly concerned in the management of a person. Is a director or officer or directly or indirectly concerned in the management, let me go for that one, please. I think I repeated a few lines. Section 27, Madam Speaker, of the bill amends Section 97 of the Act by providing that in determining whether a person is fit and proper person to hold any particular position, regard shall had to whether the person is a director or officer of or directly or indirectly concerned in the management as a corporation locally or abroad that is compounding with or suspending payment to its creditors. Section 28 of the bill amends Section 101 of the Act, which requires that notification be given by a licensed financial institution to the central bank of the appointment of officers and the directors. Clause 29 of the bill amends Section 103 of the Act, which addresses the removal and disqualification of a director or officer. Clause 30 of the bill replaces Section 104 of the Act, which addresses the right to make representations. Clause 31 of the bill replaces Section 105 of the Act, which requires the central bank to provide notice of confirmed removal. confirmed removal. Clauses 32 and 33 of the bill amend sections 107 and 108 of the Act by replacing the references to section 101.2 with section 101.5. Clause 34 of the bill, Madam Speaker, replaces section 109 of the Act, which sets out the penalty for failure to comply with section 103. Clauses 35 of the bill amend section 131(1)(b) of the Act by increasing the time for shareholders to subscribe and purchase additional share after the notice from 3 business days to 10 business days. Clause 36 of the bill amends section 137 of the Act, which provides for determination by the central bank of official administration if a licensed financial institution or licensed financial holding company cannot be rehabilitated and the central bank issues a decision to commence receivership and liquidation proceedings. Clause 37 of the bill amends section 138(1) of the Act, which sets out the ground for receivership. And Clause 38 of the bill inserts a new section 138A into the Act. Section 138A provides for section 138(2) and section 139 to section 157 of the Act to apply to a person who is found to be carrying on banking businesses without a license. Clause 39 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends section 140 of the Act, which describes the specification of a notice that is published announcing the revocation of the license and appointment by the central bank. Clause 40 of the bill amends section 147G, which provides for the avoidance of pre-receivership transfer to depositors or creditors by increasing the value of the payment that is not subject to the provision from 100,000 to 200,000. Clause 41 of the bill, Madam Speaker, amends section 168 of the Act, replacing the words 90 days with 3 months. Clause 42 of the bill replaces section 169 of the Act, which provides for abandoned property to vest in the Crown 15 years from the date on which it was paid in the custody of the central bank. Clause 43 of the bill replaces section 147 of the Act, which provides a penalty for the failure to file report or to pay abandoned property into the custody of the central bank. Section 44 of the bill deletes and replaces section 178 of the Act, which provides for the secrecy of information acquired under the Act. Clause 45 of the bill amends section 108 of the Act by revising the list of administrative penalties to be paid to the central bank. Madam Speaker, clause 46 of the bill replaces section 186 of the Act by revising the application and license fees for licensed financial institutions. Section 47 of the bill replaces Schedule 1 of the Act by revising the application and license fees for licensed financial institutions. And finally, Madam Speaker, Clause 48 of the bill replaces Section 111 of the Act. Which sets out the offenses in respect of which liability to conviction may be discharged by payment of fixed penalty and the corresponding penalty. Madam Speaker, I commend the bill.
I recognize the Honourable Minister with his responsibility for education, health and community services.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the second reading of the bill shortly entitled Banking Amendment Bill 2020.
Right. Members, you have before you a motion for the second reading of the bill. And the floor is now open for contributions by anyone who may wish to say anything with regard to this particular bill. Yes, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, just for clarity, and correction rather, Clause 48 of the bill replaces Schedule 3 and not 111 as I mentioned. Schedule 3. Sorry.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. And I recognize the Honourable Minister of Education, Health and Community Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the amendments to this bill, this Banking Act. And firstly, this act seeks to modernize, update, and harmonize the Banking Act throughout the OECS is harmonized legislation. And secondly, most of the amendments, you will find that they give the ECCB more oversight to the banks within the region. I will just highlight a few of the clauses, and I'll start with the interpretation, where there's an insert of branch that was not within the parent act. And that, I suppose, is to cover the many facets we have in banking now. So branch defines everything that can happen within a bank, because I think before you only had borrowing groups and different things, but it inserts and it says branch means any office or place of business of a licensed financial institution other than the principal office where a licensed financial institution carries on any banking business which facilitates the acceptance of deposits and repayable funds, issuing and administering means of payment, including credit cards, travelers' checks, bankers' drafts, electronic money. So it's modernizing, so all the things that we do not have in the old law, this brings it to bear. So where you have these electronic monies and all that, and also automatic banking machines and Bureau of Dechange, if you have those. So we are moving into a different era and really modernizing and upgrading to fall in line with the rest of the world. Now you will find there's a meaning also for CARICOM, because this original bill only envisaged within Montserrat, firstly, and to some extent the OECS, but never the single market of CARICOM. And so CARICOM is now included, so that even within the economic space, this banks, people from outside of the OECS and the ECB area can in fact be part and parcel and govern under this rule, seeing that we know that a lot of the banks around here may have branches outside the OECS. The next one is on the relative. The relative has been redefined. Under the old clause, it says here, Relative means a spouse, a former spouse, son, daughter, stepson, stepdaughter, brother, sister, aunt, uncle. It goes on and on. But he seemed to have condensed it somewhat in this to mean only a spouse, son, daughter, stepson, stepdaughter, adopted son, adopted daughter, brother, sister, father, or mother. So it brings us almost closer to a nuclear family rather than all the extended family as a relative. So that when, instead of other people have to be zoomed in if they're looking at money laundering and incorporating all your relatives from your great-great-grandparents come down, it's really within your household, more so to speak. Now, section 4. Section 4 here amended, and it seemed what happens that under the old law, it is the officers who had to go and do the seizures. And what this law is doing now is added on it a police officer. So somebody of the law enforcement is with them so that when somebody from the bank go, you might just disregard them, but at least the law allows for police to go with you. Let's see, the next one I want to look at is section 43A, which is an insert, and it's new. It's a definition of new assets, because the old law doesn't seem to have gone into any details of what assets. And with so many things that have changed, now this has upgraded so that one can find anything from notes and coins, which are legal tender in the currency union, and such foreign notes and coins as the central bank may specify, balances at the central bank, net balances at licensed financial institutions, treasury bills, and other securities issued or guaranteed by a participating government, bills of exchange, promissory notes. So he has the whole raft of instruments that one can use as assets that was not found in the old bill. Some of them were, but it was not as detailed as this law, so it's a matter of upgrading that law. Now, section 44. Section 44 is the section 2. Section 44 amended. And say we want to substitute in the word Montserrat because it was confined to Montserrat in that particular section. Now it is the ECCU Union. We all, the OECS, instead of just Montserrat, it goes beyond Montserrat now. So that's upgraded because, as I said earlier, it is a harmonized piece of legislation. Bear with me. Now section 51, which restrictions on lending to employees. And here it's replacing clauses 2, 3, and 4 of the old legislation. Because in the old legislation, financial institutions were allowed only to lend up to 50% of the annual remuneration of employees. In this new one, you can get up to 100% of in loan as an employee. And secondly, the second number 4 said that in the old law that the aggregate amount of all loans under subsection 1 and 2 shall not exceed 20% of the capital base of the licensed financial institution. But in the amendment, it sort of widens and leaves it at the discretion to the ECCB, and it says the central bank may grant approval under subsection 3 on terms and conditions to the central bank deems fit. So that rather than just 20%, the central bank can in fact decide based on whatever terms there are to ensure that a person working with the institution can in fact get a little more than just his aggregate annual salary. Section 55(1), and this one deletes 1 and 2 of the original act, and what it seeks to do in section 55 is to empower the ECCB to some extent so that the financial institutions can just go willy-nilly and invest, as we have seen in insurances and different things that can bust. So there is a check and balance now, so to ensure that people's money are protected. The central bank, in fact, has that power now to ensure that these financial institutions must report to them and, in fact, get their permission before they can do some of these investments. I suspect that they'll have to do the checks and balances to make sure these investments are real. Because I'm sure that we can recall, I think it was CLECO, one of these insurances that has hit us in the Caribbean, that some of their investment is in swamps in Miami, swampland, so that the people have nothing to fall back on. And things like that, that we are ensuring within the region that the banks here don't just invest your money any way they like and how they like. Section 69, seemed that that was just some correction there in section 5 where it said, where any licensed financial institution or any licensed financial holding company fails to comply with the requirements of subsection 1 to 4 within 3 months of the end of its financial year, it is liable to a penalty of $50,000 and $300,000 for every day of default. Obviously, they could not have meant 300,000, and it's corrected to mean 3,000 per day rather than 300,000. That was just one of those errors that because I don't know if you pay 50 for the fine and you pay 300,000 after for every day. I mean, there wouldn't be a financial institution within the region in short order if they, if they break the law. Yes. I mean, I done it. Now, section 88. Section 88 on the removal of director and officers. What you find here that what is being replaced, in fact, it gives, whereas in the old law, the person replaced had no fallback position. What you find in this one, they almost as if it's a grievance procedure that you can, in fact, have your say, your day in court then, or before the board. Prior to that, what they said was, the board said it and it was done. Now you have some kind of recourse. This is what this particular piece of legislation, that amendment has done. And section 101, as well, it says central bank appointment of officers and directors. Here again, see, this new clause seems to have given the bank some authority rather than after the fact of appointing directors. You will have to notify central bank before you make the appointment. So I suppose that they could do their checks and balances to ensure. And I think one of the clauses spells out some of the things that you cannot be. You cannot be bankrupt and all that if you're going to sit on the boards of banks and all that thing. Even it seems to go, even that's for the directors and even some of the officers. But if you're a known villain and a scammer, I would expect that the bank would not employ you. But they have checks and balances now through the ECCB area that they have a little more control in that area. Now, section 103. 103, the disqualification of directors in the old law suggests that 2/3 majority of a board was all it needed to be able to remove you. This new clause says that has removed the two-thirds and said the entire board has to make that decision rather than two-thirds. Because, you know, Madam Speaker, you could find, if somebody really want to remove you, the two-thirds that don't like you could be the same two-thirds at that board meeting that remove you. But now it has that the whole board must come together and decide that you must go. And that, I think, is an improvement, really, to the law in itself. I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. It shouldn't be too much more. I don't think it's too much more. There was something else. I think there's something else I was looking at. Or did I pass it and didn't realize? I must have missed one of them. I missed something. Basically, Madam Speaker, since I might have missed one or another clause, but basically this law sets out to empower the central bank and also to widen. I think one of the areas suggests that for responsibility in the bank, it's wide. I think in on one the definition it goes further than just the branch manager. Other people within that could be held responsible for anything that happens with the bank. So, Madam Speaker, with this modernization, I think we are on the right key within the region, and I therefore, with these few words, commend these amendments to the House.
The House awaits any further contribution on the matter of the bill. Right, so we, want to recognize the Honorable Minister of Finance.
Nobody else.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Madam Speaker, it doesn't seem as though there's any other response to the bill. You going on? Anybody else? So, may I move for the motion? Second reading of the bill. We could come to the stage.
Yes, yes, right. Unless you have something else that you want to wrap up with. Okay. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Members, the question to you would be that the bill shortly entitled the Banking Amendment Bill of 2020 be read a second time. Members in favor of a second reading, please say aye. Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, the bill can now be read a second time.
Banking Amendment Bill 2020.
The Assembly can then now dissolve into committee and consider the bill in detail.
to this Honorable House that the bill entitled Banking Amendment Bill 2020 has gone through committee stage with one minor amendment. I now present the bill to the House for third reading.
Yes, recognizing the Honourable Minister for Communication, Works and Labour.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for third reading of the bill shortly entitled Banking Amendment Bill 2020.
Thank you, Honourable Member. We should have also the motion for the suspension of the rule. I think it's number 53. We did already? Oh, okay. All right, okay. We should have the suspension, you know.
But this is a normal bill.
Not for only? Oh, what I have. So, honourable members, you have a motion before you which has been seconded for the third reading of the bill shortly entitled the Banking Amendment Bill of 2020. Members in favor of a third reading, could you please say aye? Aye. Those against, no? The ayes have it, and so the bill will be read a third time.
Banking Amendment Bill 2020.
Honourable members, the Banking Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is accordingly passed.
How long you going to short bit?
So we continue.
No,
Yes, Honourable Minister, please.
I rise to move a motion for the suspension of this session of the House until when? 1:30? 1:30.
Recognizing the Honourable Minister with responsibility for agriculture, lands, housing and the environment.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the adjournment of this Honourable House until 1 p.m. 1:30 p.m.
Honourable members, there's a motion before you for the adjournment of this House until 1:30 this afternoon. Members in favour, please say aye. Those against, no. And since the ayes have it, the House is accordingly adjourned until 1:30.